Before we get into the Texas stuff, yeah, there's another Supreme Court case that's going to be up there as well, and it ties in nicely, okay? And this is just to kind of, give a little bit more sustenance to this video itself. So let's talk about this real quick. New York, there's no voter laws that are there. All voter laws are racist, but meanwhile, you can go ahead and suppress the Second Amendment more in New York, whatever. North Carolina, voter ID law challenge delayed until Supreme Court hears the case. And they're supposed to be hearing on vaccine mandate stuff here real quick, but who knows? Who knows what they're going to do anyways. The judge in the federal lawsuit on North Carolina's voter photo identification law, scheduled for trial on January 24th, has decided to delay the proceedings until the United States Supreme Court can decide in the coming months whether North Carolina legislative leaders should be allowed to help defend the statute in court. Weird. A U.S. District Court Judge Loretta Biggs, an Obama appointee, ordered the trial delay on December 30th. Imagine that. It wasn't reasonable to move forward without first obtaining feedback from the higher court. Well, you're in charge of the district. You were appointed by the federal government, but you need Dad to rule on this before you guys can go forward with any of this stuff? Fucking bitch. Moving ahead prematurely could force the court to try the matter twice, needlessly expending tremendous resources. When has this ever been a concern of a fucking federal court judge? North Carolina's voter ID requirements have already been subject to extensive judicial intervention at both the federal and the state levels. So what? You just want to be the arbiter of truth and fairness? I don't want to waste any money by, having to do work. I just want to wait for somebody else to do my job for me. 2 state judges have struck down the law in September, even though the federal case continues. Interesting. Statute was motivated, at least in part, by an unconstitutional intent to target African American voters. Oh, this is one of these white saviors that think that minorities are too stupid to get photo identification. Imagine being them. Superior Court judges. Michael O'Falladu, whatever, and Vince Rosier wrote in the majority opinion, other less restrictive voter ID laws would have sufficed to achieve the legitimate non-racial purposes of implementing. I bet you there's zero fucking racial component to any of these laws that's written. These guys are just, trying to see everything through a racial lens. Fucking moron. It's fine, we get it. When you go out trolling for whores, you're just only trying to pick up black hookers. We get it. They have the pointiest shoes that hurt the most when you get stepped on. We get it. That's your kink. You don't have to try to stick up for them, you fucking losers. Supreme Court appeal is Berger v. Berger. North Carolina State Conference of the NAACP Court File 21-248. Yeah, exactly. Okay, NAACP, yeah, they're the ones that are on this, so they were the ones that probably infused the race argument, because that's their hustle. That totally makes sense. North Carolina branch and various local chapters, the NAACP, sued, claiming the state voter ID law ran afoul the Federal Voting Rights Act and the United States Constitution. Okay, we'll see where this goes, because it's going to be important, and I'm not too sure if there's any senator seats that are going to be up for election in North Carolina, but it's one of those states that's going to be highly contestable, okay, especially when it comes to House seats, and with the midterms coming up in November, okay, is going to be one of those places where you need to start ironing out all of these different election integrity laws, especially in another place that's finding itself in a similar situation, Texas, okay? Is it going to be purple? Is it going to flip blue? Is Beto O'Rourke going to successfully run against Greg Abbott to be governor? That motherfucker, he does not know how to take an L properly. But then again, we don't know how the primary is going to shake out. And I guess he's the brightest bulb in that fucking box of Democrat losers that are out there right now to run against Greg Abbott. It's not going to work. Greg seems to be wildly popular there, but we'll dive into that closer to the date when everything eventually does shake out. But what did they find? Okay, in anticipation for 2022, in anticipation for the midterms itself, well, a Texas audit finds over 11,000 potential non-citizens registered to vote and other problems. Imagine that. Voting irregularities, including potential thousands of votes cast by non-citizens and the dead Oh, and the dead. Cool. What were they filling out their ballots with the Ouija board? Were reported during the first phase of the Texas Secretary of State forensic audit of the 2020 general election, but critics deemed it more of a risk-limiting audit at this point. Yeah, that's all you do. You just figure out if there was any fucking whack shit that was happening beforehand, okay? Anything that happened at the time, because there's no going back and there's no one doing it. It's all been certified. It's all been fucking enshrined, okay? You aren't going to be going through, and anybody who was affected in any of those elections, you aren't going to be fucking dragging them out of their position. That's not how this shit works. This is figuring out where the loopholes exist, okay? And then when the next elections happened, okay, you implement the new rules and you figure out what went wrong the first time to make sure it doesn't happen again. That's all you can fucking do, okay? Texas Secretary of State's office released the findings on December 31st, but the issues found are not enough to significantly impact the 2020 election results in 4 counties involved in the audit: Collin, Dallas, Harris, and Tarrant counties, which account for 10 million people. Yeah, Harris County is Houston, Dallas is, well, obviously, and Tarrant is, I think that's San Diego, or San Diego. No, it wouldn't be San Antonio. It's like big counties, and they announced this audit a long time ago, so I'm glad that they actually followed through on this stuff, unlike the Wisconsin one, unlike the Pennsylvania one, unlike, you know, following up on the Arizona one, which the funny story, and I alluded to this in the first video of the day, I was almost not on YouTube today, not by my own choice, but because YouTube decided to fucking strike down early in the morning. Get this, one of my old videos, May 20th, when I was talking about the Maricopa County audit, okay, and their preliminary results that just proved that the media are full of fucking shit, okay? So, for whatever reason, they decided to go back and strike down that video, okay? I was almost on my second strike, even though I am just about out of fucking jail, okay? A couple more days and then one strike just disappears, so, okay, fine, whatever. So, I got hit with in less than a year. My first strike came February 16th, I think, or some dumb shit like that, when I was criticizing Bill Gates for wanting everybody else to eat the fucking bug meat, but whatever. Okay, I'm not still bitter about that, not a lot. But yeah, no, they go back, YouTube goes back, and it fucking hits up that video and strikes it down and says that I was talking about election disinformation. And that's like in May, 7 fucking months ago. And then, okay, at the time, so I appealed, and thankfully, obviously, because I'm here right now, you know that I won the appeal. It only took them like an hour to fucking come back, which is kind of weird, especially because that was my 8th strike, so I've been through this a time or two. So thankfully, we're 4-4 right now, so we got the big dub to start the year, so that's pretty nice. But yeah, it was talking about something, and it's, you know what, it's always been my position, okay? All of this shit is done and dusted. There's no going back, okay? And again, it's like proven. It's not like saying, okay, you find these discrepancies that happened in 2020, okay? Who voted for who? It's never made public, okay? And nor does it really matter. It's about closing up these loopholes, okay? It's about closing up the discrepancy. It's not about redoing and undoing all this shit. It's done. It's over. All of the oaths have been taken. All the positions have been filled. There's no fucking flipping that's happening at this point, okay? All you got to do is look towards the future, okay? And that's what they're doing here. So this video magically gets taken down in a couple of hours. We can just go back and point to that disclaimer right there. It's not even a disclaimer like I got to do for every one of those fucking stupid coof videos. I believe this one wholeheartedly. There's no going back and figuring out what the fuck happened in 2020 and then expecting something else happening. That's just not the fucking case. Now, can you safeguard and can you protect and you make sure that everything's open, honest, and fair for the midterms this year? Abso-fucking-lutely. So let's go. Generally speaking, nothing was found on such a large scale that could have altered any election, said Sam Taylor, Assistant Secretary for the State of Communications. So, the findings included, statewide, a total of 11,737 potential non-U.S. citizens were identified as being registered to vote. Of those, 327 records were identified in Collins County, 1,385 in Dallas, 3,063 in Harris, 708 in Tarrant, and so far, Dallas counties have canceled 1,193 of those records. It's a good start, all things considered, with Tarrant County canceling 1. Okay, you guys got significant work to do. But I guess you just like the look of a 707 on your tab, I guess. Neither Collin or Harris have canceled any potential non-voting records. You probably should, though. I'm just saying, you find these people who can't vote on voter rolls, fucking figure it out. Since November of 2020, that seems pretty significant, 224,585 deceased voters have been removed from the voter rolls in Texas. Cool. Should be cleaning that shit up. Collin County removed 4,889 deceased voters. Dallas County removed 14,926 deceased voters. Harris County removed 23,914 deceased voters. And Tarrant County removed 13,955 deceased voters who were on the rolls. It doesn't necessarily say when. And okay, just because they were on the roll, let's just say they were there for the general election. It's not saying all of those people voted or not. And then again, just because the censors only care about this aspect of things, nobody's saying who voted for who, okay? Because you remember, Project Veritas ran a fucking expose on somebody who was ballot harvesting for some Republicans, and then at the same time, for Democrats as well. So it's impossible to know. This shit happens all the fucking time, okay? There's fraud that happens in every single election. Just who benefits from it? Well, depends on who has the deeper pockets. That's just the fucking facts of life. Statewide, the population... a total of 67% votes cast in the name of deceased people are under investigation. All right. Of those, 3 were cast in Collin County, 9 in Dallas County, and 4 in Harris County, 1 in Tarrant County. So, okay, that could be explained by somebody who cast their ballot and then died by the time that it recorded. Is 67 people in a state of multi-million people. It could happen, okay? Or there could be other excusable things that happen there. And I'm not trying to mitigate that. I'm just saying that might be what happened. But again, yeah, it's just a small amount of people. In a review of each county's partial manual count report required under Texas law, 3 or 4 counties reported discrepancies between ballots counted electronically versus those counted by hand. The report reasons that the discrepancies will be investigated and verified during phase 2 of the audit. Okay, so what did we find out in those 4 bullet points right there? And I'm going to try to keep this short. I'll link to the rest of the article because it's pretty long and it's pretty extensive. And yeah, you know what? Hey, I think it's worth your time. I did a little bit of pre-reading anyways. But from that there, what does that show you? Cleaning up voter rolls is invaluable, okay? Nearly 250,000 people fucking yeeted off of there for being dead or not being able to legally vote. You should probably be running those back consistently, especially before every single fucking election, okay? And then if you do find out that some questionable people did in fact vote, well, stop that. Stop that right there, okay? Make sure they don't get another ballot the next time out. And then, honestly, once again, if you need another nail in that coffin that these electronic voting machines, okay, whether they're counters, whether they're actual voting machines themselves, do we really need them? All they do is seem to produce different fucking variables for error. This is supposed to be the gold standard for elections, okay? If elections are essential to our democracy, if you're supposed to believe that fucking line of horseshit, you should probably make them as open, honest, and transparent as possible. These are the different steps that need to be taken, and I'm glad that at least Texas, a state that went, you know what, by a couple percentage points for Trump in 2020, you got a bunch of different important elections that are coming up, from the governorship all the way down through the state elections. It's going to be damn important, so you might as well fucking get this shit figured out beforehand, so you're not, you know, caught with your thumb up your ass by the time ballot counting starts rolling around. So I'm going to be keeping a lot of tabs on this stuff in the lead up to the midterms, because I'm hoping that it's going to be the fun season. There's going to be some really good people running for these open, empty, important positions at every fucking level. I don't give a shit, okay, if it's a Senate position in Washington, D.C., or if it's just a local seat, because we found out over the past couple of years, that every single elected position is very important and has great impact, especially when it comes to places like, you know, local school boards. How important have they been, at least over the past couple of months? Know what they can do, know their jurisdiction, And stop just blaming everything on the president, because yeah, he is fucking incompetent, but he doesn't necessarily control everything that fucking happens out there. Your state can do a lot of shit for you, and I wish more states were a lot like Texas, but you could say that in a whole host of different contexts. But enough with the politics, sort of, I guess. We're going to talk about the social media, but yeah, no, it's not as gay as that sounds. It's just, there'll be some censorship going on out there, and it looks like a new alternative. It might be potentially trying to take off. So let's take a look at that. With that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.